Good morning, everybody. Dr. Anita here from Mylon Family Chiropractic Center. We are riding in the car with the Chiro. So today I was struggling with what my topic of conversation was going to be. And I usually get a couple of blips while I'm working out in the morning. And what I came up with was what's been going on this week in the office, what I've been hearing over the last week. One of the common things that folks come in with that I found an increase in people complaining about was carpal tunnel pain right here in the wrist area, right? Well, your carpal tunnel happens to be a tunnel that goes right through the wrist area into your palm, and it's a tunnel that allows your nerve to go through. And when you injure that area, whether it's through a trauma, overuse issue, you bang it, whatever, it can actually swell. And there's a hole there where those nerves come through. And what happens is when it swells, it almost feels like it's compressing down on that particular nerve. And it gives you pain and symptomatology going up into your hand or even a little bit up into your upper arm and forearm. So it was interesting as I reflected back late last night about who were the people that were complaining about this carpal tunnel. So I'd like to share that with you because it was really interesting. Of course, I had a contractor. He's using those air-powered guns and things like that for nails, air-powered nail guns. I had a couple of women that were housewives. I had a flight attendant come in with carpal tunnel. And I had 2 teachers come in. And I thought, what is going on here? So I think what's happening, and I don't know for sure, but I can say this, that the stressors in our world right now with still being in lockdown, still being stuck home, our dietary regimen just sucks. Now, I'm not saying that some of the occupational hazards that happen aren't a contribution to why some of these folks had this wrist pain. One of them decided that even though they had wrist pain, they were still going to work out. And when they were doing presses over top of their head with their dumbbells, it aggravated it. Well, yeah. Another one decided that when they were in group training, they needed to be part of the group by doing some push-ups. And it aggravated it, right? Obviously, one of them, because of their occupation, there's nothing they can do because they have to continue to work in order to provide for their family. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, what is going on? It has to be a direct correlation to inflammation. And inflammation is systemic, meaning that your entire body becomes inflamed, typically because of your diet. And I'm overheating here. As you can see, my face is turning red. We are still in this ridiculous lockdown that is causing us to go crazy. I don't know about you, but it's causing me to go crazy. Why can't we go out and live our lives? I mean, stop the madness already. So what happens when we're in lockdown, and it was winter, it's still winter. They're talking about some more winter stuff tonight. I'm not happy about that. I thought we were done. It's the middle of March, and spring is the first day, I think, on Saturday. But why are we stuck in lockdown, and what are we doing while we're stuck in lockdown? Well, what do people do? They eat bad stuff. We eat tons and tons and tons of carbohydrates. We don't hydrate because, hey, we're not really out there sweating. I'm sweating now. We're not out there sweating or doing anything that would rev our engine, so to speak. So we reduce the amount of hydration that we take in, which makes us more inflamed and bloaty. And that inflammation settles in some weak spots. So it's a classic issue, carpal tunnel, for my people, contractors for sure. For my hairdressers, my goodness, I don't know a single hairdresser that hasn't come in with some form of carpal tunnel symptomatology. Caregivers, whether it's caregivers, CNAs, whether it's caregivers for the mentally challenged, whether it's caregivers for young kids who had no reprieve because the kids are home and grandma had to take over because mom and dad are trying to work and they're caregivers now, and they weren't designed to be caregivers in their 60s and 70s, and they're picking up the toddlers that weigh 30 plus pounds, and they're jamming up and jacking up their wrists, but they don't realize that that wrist is connected to the elbow, which is connected to the shoulder, which is connected to the neck. So what I'm finding is, in evaluating these folks, is first of all, we're having some trouble with the bones in the wrist and hand where they're becoming shifted as a result of those stresses. So that's something that we can work on by correcting the misalignment of the carpal bones, relieving the stress right at the carpal tunnel. And most of it, I'd say 98% of it, is not true carpal tunnel. Like the old days when I was first in practice, the majority of people that I saw true carpal tunnel with was secretaries because of the typing. Now everybody is working on a laptop or a PC using a keyboard, but we've become more smarter, that doesn't even make sense, smarter about the kind of mouse that we use, the pads that we use, the touch screens that we use, things like that, so that we're not straining our wrists the way we used to when the secretaries would come in with the true carpal tunnel. And I've had many folks come in post-carpal tunnel syndrome with post-carpal tunnel surgeries that relieved it and it's back. Well, if it relieved it and it's back, I have to wonder, was the surgery an absolute necessity? Now, I don't know. I didn't see them before their surgical intervention, so I have no idea what was found in the nerve conduction test or the EMG of their forearm muscles or hand muscles. So I honestly don't know clinically whether that was a totally valid surgical intervention or not. However, if it came back, it's telling me that it wasn't just, even if it was valid, it wasn't just at the carpal tunnel that the issue was coming from. It was actually coming from the neck. And when I do motion x-rays, yes, I do motion x-rays. When I do motion x-rays, what happens is I discover that there's an old issue in the neck that was creating a lot of this to begin with. So the inflammation that we're experiencing right now, a lot of people are experiencing, is because of dietary regimen. And listen, only you can take responsibility for what you put in your mouth. And I'm not here to yell at anybody, or I'm not here to take responsibility for you. I'm here to take responsibility for me. And so I've been on a special eating regimen now. This is going on the end of my 6th week. I was not good at drinking water. I can tell you, I was terrible at drinking water, except in the summer. Or after I worked out, of course, I drank some water, but never enough. While I didn't have any inflammatory symptomatology in my body, I was well aware that I was not hydrated properly. And I couldn't understand why I work out all the time and I could not lose a pound. So in going on this special eating regimen, and if you're interested in it, please private message me and I'll share that with you. At the beginning of this week, I did my weigh-in. After 6 weeks, I'm down 13.4 pounds. Now, that may not seem to be a lot to most folks. It's 6 weeks. But for somebody my size, it was a lot. And it really related to, in my opinion, the fact that I'm drinking a gallon of water a day. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. That first week of this regimen of taking in that much water, I thought I was going to drown. I really felt like I was drowning. I have to say that my college years experience helped me tremendously with chugging water. Just saying, 7 years of college, I learned to chug a little bit. And so that helped me tremendously in getting this water down. Into my 6th week, I'm much better at it. But I'm going to tell you, there are times still this week where I was like, oh my God, I don't know that I can take in any more water. But by taking in water, fatigue leaves you. Inflammation gets flushed out of your body. It's so important. And this eating regimen has me managing the kind of stuff that I put in my trap, right? I don't keep that bad stuff in my house. The hardest thing this week, I have to admit, was all of the people that I know selling Girl Scout cookies. I love to support the Girl Scouts. I love Thin Mints. I've always bought a ton of boxes of them and kept them in my freezer, which really, why? Because they didn't last very long. But I didn't buy any for the first time in, I don't even know. I think in my whole adult life, I didn't buy any outside of when I was in college and broke, right? So I made some choices. I made some choices to make sure that I'm not going to allow myself to be in an inflammatory state, because part of my inflammatory state was the fact that my metabolism was shut down. And in spite of all the exercising I'm doing, my body wasn't burning because I wasn't hydrating. And I wasn't eating enough times during the day. So this eating regimen, I don't want to call it a diet. This eating regimen that I'm on has me eating like 6 times a day. It seems nutty. But actually it's become way easy. I love what I'm eating. It's not hard. So I am a huge fan of this program. I have somebody in my back pocket who's my quote unquote health coach. And most people go on this because they want to change their health status with regards to learning to eat right and learning to exercise and not be a diabetic, or get off of medications and not be hypertensive and reduce their cholesterols and all of these things, none of which is a challenge for me. However, it's a challenge for many, many people because they're in a chronic state of inflammation. So if you're interested in what that eating regimen is about, please PM me and I can share some information with you and hook you up with my health coach, and she can give you all the down low about it. I love it. It is very effective. It's a long-term, long-haul thing. It's a dietary regimen to learn how to eat properly so that your body can work and you don't stay in a state of inflammation. So getting back to carpal tunnel, bottom line is this. Most of the time it is coming from inflammation because of dietary, lack of hydration, and problems in the spine and nervous system at the neck area. Only a chiropractor can correct those problems. If you're not under regular chiropractic care in my office, you should be. If you don't live local, message me and I will find you an amazing chiropractor to manage that. If you haven't been in a while, we're friends. Come on in. Let's get you back on track. We can talk about helping you with your eating and hydration so that your body can work at its best. Summer's coming. We want to look our best when it comes time to put on that dreaded bathing suit. It doesn't have to be dreaded anymore. I'm not dreading it. I'm not. So it's time for you to look in the mirror, look at yourself and say, I deserve to be as healthy as I was destined to be and designed to be. And I just need some help doing that. And I'd love to be your partner in doing that. So you've been riding in the car with the Chiro. This is Dr. Anita from My Lawn Family Chiropractic Center. I'll catch you next week on the next ride. You have a fantastic weekend, and let's welcome spring in with a smile. See you next ride.